Now that Git is set up on your local machine, we will want to configure your name and email. The Git documentation shown here describes how to do this in detail. Thankfully, each only takes one command. I will now go ahead and show you how to edit these settings. We will go ahead and bring up the Git bash and show it in the current location of our repository. We will type the first command, git config -- global user dot name. Enter your name and hit enter. Now we'll do the same for the email. And hit enter. And you have now created a global Git configuration file for your user. This configuration file will work for all of your repositories because you can have many repositories on your local machine and they will all use these options here when you're using them. Now that we have properly set up our username and email, we will go ahead and scroll down this page here, and I will show you a recommended setting that might not be required for Windows, but is highly recommended for other operating systems. This option is Colors in Git. The command that we will want to use is this right here that I've currently highlighted. That is git config -- global color.ui true. And what this will do is turn on colors for when you have files in Git that are either added, not added, changed, or have some type of other variable status. Now that we have configured the UI to use colors, we will want to go ahead and set the merge tool. In Git, a merge tool is used when you have what's called a merge conflict. We will hopefully not have merge conflicts in this class, but I am going to help you set up the tools to be able to handle merge conflicts easily. There's a large number of software solutions available for handling merges in Git, but the software we recommend you use is Meld. Meld is a freely available open source software project available at meldmerge.org. Meld is available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Since Meld is available on all three of the major operating systems currently available, Mac, Windows, and Linux, you should have no problem installing it. To obtain the Windows installer, you will want to go ahead and visit the main web page here. Scroll down. There will be a link to a yet unofficial installer. This installer will take you to a SourceForge page. You will click this green button right here to start the download of the installer, and then you will follow the on-screen instructions to complete the installation of that software. Now that you have completed your installation of Meld, we will go ahead and configure Git to use Meld whenever there is a merge conflict. A merge conflict will be covered further along in this video, but for now we will go to the home directory in Windows. So that will be C users, the name of your user account that you're logged in as, and you will now have what's called a .git config file. The .git config file stores all of your global properties for Git. I will go ahead and open this file in Notepad++, a free text editor available for Windows. Provides lots of advanced text editing features that general Notepad does not. To add to this .git config file, the merge tool, Meld, we will need to paste this information. Merge is what tool do we want to be used, Meld, and here's where we define the merge tool Meld. The location, we do not want to keep temporaries or backups, and we don't want it to prompt us for each file. Click Save. You can ignore this prompt, that's optional. That's a choice, but I would recommend keeping these three the same and only editing this as if you save the file somewhere else. Close this. Now that Git is installed, configured, and we have cloned your private repository from your GitLab account to your local machine, we can discuss the commands that you will use to manipulate your local repository and how to synchronize it with the private remote repository hosted on GitLab. However, before we discuss the individual commands that you will be using, it is appropriate to discuss the reason why we'll be using Git for our source code management. Git is a source code revision and management tool that will allow you to do many things from the command line with simple commands that would otherwise require lots of time and manual intervention. Git allows for the creation of many distributed repositories, all holding equivalent copies of the exact same repository information. These repositories, when configured properly, enable for quick updates between each other and therefore provide a quick way for saving your work from your local development machine to the cloud-based repository on GitLab, GitHub, or even your own private Git server. You will be using Git to both get your assignments when they are made publicly available and to copy your resulting work to your GitLab repository for final grading by the course graders. The first command that you will use when beginning a Git repository from one that already exists is git clone. You have already done this. This is how you cloned the repository from GitLab's website to your local machine. Now that you have a copy of Dr. Schmidt's repository, CS282, cloned into your GitLab account, and from there cloned onto your local machine, we can easily configure your local installation to be able to receive updates when Dr. Schmidt makes them available. Because of Git's distributed nature, it is possible to have multiple repositories be tracked by a single repository, and this enables you to pull code from multiple locations at the same time. In Git, we will go to the git bash command prompt and type Git Remote, and that will list all of the remote repositories that you are currently tracking. Right now we are only currently tracking one of them. It is called Origin. Origin is a special name in Git. It means the repository that our current repository originated from. In our case, Remote lists Origin. Origin is our private GitLab account. But we also want to be able to pull code updates from Dr. Schmidt's page right here, the repository linked here. So what we will do is come down to here, find this URL, copy it to the clipboard, come back to the Git command prompt and type Git Remote add Dr. Schmidt space, and we will enter the URL that we just copied. Unfortunately, this editor requires you to paste by this means. Right click on the top corner, come down to edit, and select paste, and you'll hit enter. That added a new remote, so Git Remote. We now have Origin and Dr. Schmidt. Feel free to name that repository whatever you like. It is only a local variable. Now that we have set up our remotes for Dr. Schmidt's GitHub account and our origin GitLab account, we can go ahead and type git pool, so GITPUL, hit enter, and that will attempt to access our origin server and see if there's any new files created on there. That will only happen if you have two development machines, push from one machine and then pull from another. Now we can go ahead and type git pool origin, and you'll notice I just begin that and hit tab and it will autocomplete. Master for the branch that we want to pull from. This is the exact same command as git pull, except it's git pull defaults to the origin master pair. So we'll clear. And the output's slightly different also, but it's exactly the same result. Now that we have Dr. Schmidt's repository also set up, we can do a pull from there to see if there's any new updates. We will do that by typing git pull Dr. Schmidt, hitting tab to autocomplete that, typing master, hitting enter. The output will be slightly different, but you will see that is also already up to date. If it was not up to date, you would automatically download the new files and some what are called commits would be created, as long as there's no merge conflicts, aka there's no conflict between a file that was created by Dr. Schmidt and one that was created by you. As long as you're following the directory structure that we have laid out, hopefully that will not be a problem for you. However, you will be receiving constant updates of new assignments and updates to other examples and other code. So when you do a git pull, you might see a long list of files that were changed or updated. When you see that, type git push and you'll push those new files up to your GitLab repository. Now that we have set up tracking of repositories of Dr. Schmidt's GitHub account and your GitLab account as origin, we can go ahead and add files to your origin repository. To do so, what we will need to do is create a file first. So touch test.txt, enter. Touch is a Linux command that creates a new empty file. Notepad test. Here is my new test file. Save it, close this. Cat is a command that outputs the contents of a file to the screen. And now we start with our git commands. Now we will discuss git status. Git status shows you the list of files in your repository that are either untracked or have been changed. In our case, test.txt is a new file and is therefore untracked. To add it to the list of tracked files, we will go git add test, hit enter, and now we can do git status again, and it will list it as changes to be committed. Now that we have new files to be added to the commit, we need to discuss what a commit is. A commit is a change to the repository. So we have a new file that we want to add to the repository. And we've added that new file. Now to finalize the commit, we go git commit -m and our message for the log for this commit. Added new test file. Hit enter. And it says we've changed one file, and that one file was a new insertion into the repository. We do git status, and we'll notice that our local branch is ahead of origin master by one commit. we can use git push to publish our local commits to that origin. We will do so. Git push. We hit enter, and we'll notice a lot of warning text from here until here, which we will discuss in the future, but it basically means that Git has changing how it does some inner workings, so we'll skip that for right now. But the part that matters is here, to Git at GitLab, my username, the repository, we went from the unique hash of the one commit to a unique hash of a new commit, from my local master branch to the origin master branch. So now Git status will display that we are up to date with origin master. To simplify the screen output when we are now doing pushes, I've gone ahead and entered this command, git config global push default simple. And what that does is it will have absolutely no impact on this repository for right now. And when you have more complex repositories with multiple people working on the same repository, the simple merging will hopefully prevent any weird edge cases that previous versions of Git that used default for their merging of branches during a push would create. So now when you do a git push, you will get everything is up to date, or the appropriate response for whatever that time is. You will not get any of the log error message that would fill up half the screen. You might have noticed that my Git repository has a conflict.txt that is not in the original repository. And if we cat that file, you'll see that it has remote line 1, 2, and 3. Now what I'm going to do is edit this file locally, local line 1, save it, close Notepad, git add conflict, git commit message, edit to conflict, hit enter, and git push. Now you'll notice there was no conflict there because my repository had the original version of conflict. I edited it. Then I added it. I added it to my working directory. I committed it, and then I pushed it. So if we now go to conflict, it now has my changes. So there was no conflict yet. A conflict occurs when two people edit a file or edit the same file, remote, line 4, scroll down, update to conflict.txt, hit commit, and that'll be changed. Now, if I do the same thing here, Notepad conflict, but instead I add local line 2, save and close. What this does is it creates a conflict because the file on the server and the file on my local repository don't agree. So what I'm going to do is git status, git add conflict, git commit, and now I'm going to do a git pull. When I edited this file on the repository on GitLab, it automatically made a commit there when I was done editing. So actually I'm going to clear the screen first and do a git pull. when I do the pull and hit enter, it's going to tell me that automatic merge failed, fix the conflicts, and then commit the result. Now, all of the work that we did to set up Meld is going to come back and pay us back in. Now all the work that we did previously in setting up Meld to be our merge conflict tool is going to come back and save us a bunch of time now, because what we can do is type git merge tool and hit enter. Excuse me. And when we hit enter, it's going to say that there is a local and a remote modification to the file conflict.txt, and hit return or enter to start the merge resolution tool Meld. Because there was a merge conflict, we can go ahead and use the git configured merge tool and type git merge tool, hit enter. It will tell us that there is a conflict in conflict.txt. We have a local and a remote versions of the file. They were both modified. We will hit enter to launch Meld. I will shrink it to fit within the window that is being recorded. And you will see this window here. Now, the left is the local, and you'll see that right here. The right is the remote, and you'll see that right there. And the center is the new file that will be created. And you'll notice this head with these arrows here and this hash here. And so this is a standard old way of showing differences between two different files. You can generally ignore that. The nice thing about this Meld merge tool is you can click here or here and say which files do you want, which lines do you want included in the new file that you want to create. I apologize, the merge tool has been closed, and this is a recapture because I had an issue with my capture software. But when you are done editing the file from left and right, pulling in the versions of the code that you want, in the center there will be a file that you can edit. That file is what will actually be written out to disk as the new version of the file being worked upon. You can edit that as a simple text editor and fix anything that you need. Unfortunately, you are then going to have to test all of your code after you handle the merge conflict. When you click save, you will then write out the conflict.txt, and at that point you are done. You can type git status, and you'll notice that you have a git conflict.txt and a conflict.txt.orig. You'll want to go ahead and remove the conflict.txt.orig for original, and you'll do that by typing rm. That will remove the file. Now when you do git status, you'll just see that there is a new file to be committed, or a modified file I should say, and you type git commit. If you type git commit without the message, it will open up a text editor. That text editor by default is set to Vim. If you know how to use Vim, then that will be no problem. If not, just follow these steps. Hit escape, type :WQ, and hit enter. That will write the file out to disk and then quit Vim. You can then type git push. That push will then push your commit up to GitLab, your origin. Now when you do a git status, the branch will be up to date, and you won't have any new files that are created. Now when we go to the server and refresh, we'll see the updated conflict.txt. Conflicts are by their nature difficult to handle, but hopefully this brief introduction will help you along if you see any. Now we will discuss what to do if you make a mistake while working with Git. So let's go ahead and make some mistakes. We are currently in the working directory. There's nothing there that has been altered. So what we will do is we will remove conflict.txt, do a git status, and we will notice that the conflict.txt has been deleted. Now if we want to update that the file is to be removed, we can go git add or rm and then the file name, or we can do git checkout -- the file name to discard that change. So in this instance, discarding the change means bringing back the file, and we'll do that. Git checkout -- conflict.txt. We can't use autocomplete because autocomplete uses files that are already there. Hit enter, do git status, and we hit back to a working clean directory because none of the files have changed. Git has restored conflict.txt. Okay, now let's clear the screen and let's go ahead and edit conflict, delete a line, save it, close it, git add conflict, and do a git status. Okay, what if now you decide, oh wait, I don't want to add that file. So it already tells you right here, git reset head conflict git status. It's no longer added to your list of files to be added to the commit. Now if you want to restore the version, it's the same as before, git checkout -- or if you want to edit it and then add it again, git add the file name. Now thank you for watching this video, and we hope that you'll be able to now smoothly proceed with your assignments and use Git to its fullest. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the appropriate section in the forum, and we will address those as quickly as possible. Thank you.